Fitzgerald, who was with us at Maryland, offered me to go there. I'd been offensive line coach for 29 years. And other than when I was a coordinator at a couple places where I had the tight ends and tackles, I always been involved in the O-line. And he said, well, we're moving our Superbacks coach to O-line. You want to coach Superbacks? And I said, well, if you can tell me what that is, I can answer the next part of that question. So he said, oh, it's tight ends and H-backs. And basically, that's what it is. And the fullback in the spread is in my room. He plays about 8 plays a game. The most scrutinized plays in football is short yardage and goal line and coming out. So he has a bad job. Northwestern, he's usually a linebacker that washed out and got sent over to my room to play. We basically, in the spread, do play a little bit with a regular tight end. He plays 12 to 15 plays a game normal, some maybe as much as 25, depending on how the game goes. But for what mostly our superback is an H-back. He's a guy who plays slot receiver 60% of the time. Our guy that's going to be a senior next year, his 5th year, has caught 88 passes in the last 2 years for us, is 6'3", 238 pounds. So he's a tweener. Everybody likes to use the term hybrid these days in football, but he will flex out 60% of the time. He will be in line at tight end about 20% of the time. And then we will line him up outside and motion him in to some type of a wing or some type of wing set about another 20% of the time. And we operate out of this set, which is a form of 11 personnel, probably at least 80% in our offense. I don't know anything about coaching defense. I just know if the defense knows it's 10 personnel, there's a lot of calls they can make when they don't ever have to worry about an edge being tied down with a tight end. Or a guy who's going to motion in and become a lead tight end. And with my guy, he's going to become a fullback for us in some cases. Now, it's not an ISO fullback, all right, but he'll come in and lead stretch plays, and he'll cut off the backside defensive end and all that. And with that, that's what we use him for. Now, my biggest challenge when I took this job was, even when I was a coordinator and Mickey Fine worked with me, will know, I didn't really know what went on the outside, okay, all right? I might have known the depth of the route, but I had no idea how to teach it. So my first year, I had to learn how to be a wide receiver coach. When I was in Maryland for 2 years as coordinator, I had no idea other than tell the receiver coach, you coach that guy to do what he needs to do to get open on this route at that point in time. So I literally lived the first spring with the receiver coach on things, and we actually worked off each other. I think, as a line coach, I taught him some things in blocking, because we all know that anybody that's coordinated an offense, receiver coaches, the receivers don't care anything about blocking, all right? They have 3 different rules, and they don't know one of them, all right? And so we kind of worked to mesh together a little bit on things there. So that's what the kind of the superback is in our offense. I know everybody can't run it, so I'm not going to talk completely on how we use it other than one little play at the end of the thing. I'm going to talk about some things that we use in principles with our pass game with my guys, okay? And I tell my guys they have to be as smart as anybody in the room, other than maybe the quarterback, because our position has to know every pass concept. And when I say concept, we teach everything by concept. So where you are in the formation depends on what route you're running on that concept. And to us as slots, we can be everywhere. The wide receivers got it easy, okay, on the outside. They have to know all the run game, because they're going to play in line like a tight end part of the time. They're going to motion over like a fullback part of the time. So they have to know every blocking scheme and what the principles of all blocking schemes are. Maybe not to the full extent of an offensive lineman, but a lot on things. And they have to know all the pass protections, because we will get an empty formation and motion them into the backfield and pass protect them and use our tailback as a receiver, or bring them in with the tailback and pre-release him out the other side, so you don't have a beat on where the protection is off the time. So since the spread offense, I found in 2 years, spends all day trying to pick up 7 people with 6 protectors, all right, which is certainly a challenge by higher mathematics, they have to know just as much as the tailbacks do in working with the offensive line. And they might only come in and do that 6 plays a game, but I found that if they come in 3 plays a game, 2 will be the most horrific blitzes we're going to face that week will happen with my guys in there and not the tailback on things. All right. Now, a couple things here that we go over in our offense as far as receiving principles. We do this with wide receivers as well as the superbacks. all right, is obviously, you guys, many of these will be redundant, but it's stuff that we talk about every day, is learning the coverage, okay, all right? We don't meet with our kids on Sunday. Every Sunday they come in and watch a film on their own of the opponent, all right? We don't watch game film from the previous week till Monday morning because we're a morning practice team in Northwestern. And I make them, the older guys are going to play, write up a report of how the other team's outside linebackers play and how their safeties play, because that's the guys that are going to affect us every time. Whether it be press, loose, how does the outside linebacker react on downfield releases? All right, everybody you play, just like you know, some are different. All right, when we play a team like Purdue, they're going to let us run down the field. They're going to expand with us, but that's not their gig to really put hands on. If you play Iowa, they will try to come and break your ribs, all right, as you come down the field. So you need to know that, and all our releases are based that week on that, and with the coverage and what they play and all that type of thing, okay? One thing that I found with coaching wide receivers now, and you guys are coaching receivers already know this, you got to get everybody to run their route just like the number one receiver. Because it doesn't take a DB who's well-schooled very long to know when a guy's half-assing down the field, and his eyes go somewhere else. So if we're running a blowout route that my guy knows down deep that there's almost no chance he's got the ball, he's got to make it look like he's running a deep route. And because you never know, people drop coverage. And we had it with one of our young guys in camp this year. He's running right down the middle of the field, and he ain't looking back, you know, and the ball's coming right at him, you know, because he's just run down the middle of the field. Well, I'm not a primary. There's no way I'm getting the ball, but the defense drop coverage. So we always have to do that. Plus, there's no use having four guys out there when some guys are trying to affect coverage and some guys are the primary, unless you're making the defense look like that you're trying to run and be the number one receiver all the time, okay? Which comes into always being alert for the ball, all right? Too many times in our offense, you can get the ball when you're not expecting it, all right? With our quarterbacks, they'll look out there and say, hey, we got this route. Our older guy, Dan Purcell from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, will fire it to some place it's not supposed to go and drive the coordinator crazy, but he reads it sometimes better from the field, all right, than we do from upstairs, all right? Hot responsibilities. In ours, in the spread with empty, we throw a lot of hots. And we, because we want to be very smart about these hots, have three different types of hot responsibilities. We actually have hot responsibilities where, like a lot of people, the quarterback will point to where the hot is, all right, which is great, but that's pretty easy on the defense because they know where the hot is a lot of times if they're watching your film, all right? We use that a little bit. We have one where we will point to where the line is turning, and the hot is opposite, okay, to that side. So they have to know in that protection that they are now looking, they are hot away from the point, okay? And we have another one, a thumbs up one, which we'll use against a 30 defense, where both sides are hot. But now, instead of taking one, it takes two, okay, off that side. So when they come up, as part of the, and I'm a big believer with what I've learned with them is getting the whole plan in your head before the snap of the ball. Don't react to things, okay? Expect things to happen, all right, as you go down the field, and part of it is hot responsibility. We did a study this spring, and of all the hots we threw last year, you never throw as many as you think you're going to throw, all right, we still missed coming off and doing the hot responsibility about 35% of the time, all right? It should have been a hot, it wasn't a hot because guys just get caught up in the game, and we don't huddle, we go 1,000 miles an hour. So I think as simple as you can make that, we started this spring, we set it up. Because our defense is not a big blitz team. So we don't get to see it enough in training camp. So whenever they would be demoing something else, we set up hot responsibility, starting from this protection where we're pointing at it, to where we're pointing away from it, to where it takes two, and we work just on hot responsibilities against the scout team when we would have our own period to work on offense so that we could actually dictate, okay, when this comes, to practice it more than we would get it in a normal practice situation, all right? Concentration, as I talked about, is starting at the line of scrimmage. If I'm running a route, I need to know as I get ready to work down the field, okay? Who are my eyes on first? If I'm making a downfield release and I got the will linebacker inside of me, I better be watching him, okay? As soon as I know it's a two deep look. If I know it's single safety, then I'm looking, all right, to see as I come off the ball, because you can't always tell sometimes whether it's man or cover three, okay, until you take the first couple steps off the ball if they do not pressure, okay, all right? Eyes on the ball. Catching is the first responsibility. We are huge at Northwestern on being a possession passing team. We don't have the fastest guys in the Big Ten. I'll be honest with you. We got some of the slowest, all right? But we complete more passes than almost everybody every year, all right, on it. And our biggest thing that we talk about all the time with our receivers is this. If you catch the ball with your back to the goal line, you are a possession receiver, all right? Your job is to drop step and get north and get as many yards as you can, all right? Because that'll usually get you the first down and move the sticks. And if we move the sticks, we're lining up and running more plays. And our niche in the Big Ten is we want to average 85 plays a game. All right, against Auburn in the Outback Bowl 2 years ago, we lost 38-35 in overtime because we ran 115 plays against Auburn in the game. That's the reason we were close. We didn't look like Auburn. It was the scariest thing in the world, the first banquet. We went in with them, but we got them tired, okay, in the game. And that's what we try to do to everybody. Getting north and getting a first down lets us run 3 more plays for sure, okay, on every deal, as opposed to dancing around. I put a sign in my Superback room this spring that said we wanted to work, as far as releases go, on being more elusive before the catch and more tenacious after the catch. Because I tell my guys all the time, ain't one of you guys can dance and beat anybody, okay, in the open field. Heck, you can't beat me. I'm a fat old man, all right? Your job is to drop step and get north, okay, with the ball. And you're going to see in drills that we have a special way we always tuck the ball towards the quarterback, which I'll talk about on my tape here in a second. But that's what we want to do. We want to get down the field. Now, you catch the ball running, that's different. But too many times off of film, you see a guy dance and he either doesn't get the first down, when if he just took 3 steps forward or drop step and went 3 steps forward, he'd have got a first down on things. Plus, ball security becomes an issue when they're doing that, and the ball gets away from their body and all that. So that's one thing that we talk about real hard, okay, in our room all the time, okay? This thing is moving forward, now it doesn't seem to be. Clumped it, no. Adjusted in the back before it came up here. Okay. One way there's always another. All right. Because of my guys size-wise, and I think everybody coaches tight ends, we always talk about when the ball comes up, people say it's a free ball. I tell my guys all the time, the ball's our ball. All right. You're 235 pounds. All right, don't let a 175-pound DB take the ball away from you. And we try to work different drills every day, and they're banging around as they catch the ball, so they go get the ball. We offered a guy last year who was in our passing camp just because of the way he attacked the ball in passing camp in a 7-on-7 thing, just knocking people down, because it's the kind of guy we're looking for all the time. Releases, all right? You need to vary your release off the line. We basically, as a release from a wide receiver position, work 3 releases, all right? And we kind of try to, not that you can't use different ones at different times, all right, but we try to use them depending on what type of coverage we got on our downfield release. And that's one thing that I learned more than anything was so important, especially against certain teams who really do a great job at jamming with linebackers on downfield release. The first one we use all the time is what we just call a club and arm over, okay? I try not to use the word swim because I'm really not looking for their arm to come up real high in the air, okay, on the deal. And we try to use that if we get pressed at the line of scrimmage. So if coach is here pressed in front of me, all right, we want to take our one hand and pin that hand, and then as quickly as we can, we want to put this arm over. And as I do it with these first 2, as that arm comes over, I want to belly myself away from the man a little bit, because most of the time he's trying to jam you, and with some teams grab you off the deal, all right, to club that ham in. We want to use that close quarters as much as possible, okay? The other one that we do is a 2-hand club. I want to use that somewhere in my route down the field where I'm not quite to my point of my break, okay? Somewhere in a 5-yard area if I'm running a 10-yard route or more down the field. And so what we do with that one is if coach just sticks his hands out here, we want to come up and actually take 2 hands as they come to me and knock those hands down. And again, belly myself away so I can continue vertical as hard as possible. Everybody sees those things out there, we call them torpedoes that look like, the D-line coach has been using them for years, okay? me and the receiver coach use them every day. All right, so that the guys can really pound on it, because the best guys getting down the field on certain linebackers are the ones that will really bang those hands hard and knock them down. And then the third, we do use a dip and rip. We use this down the field if I am being engaged by a linebacker, but normally a safety, but often maybe a dropping linebacker, just at about the point in time I'm going to stick my foot in the ground to make my break. All right? And what we try to do when we make that dip and rip, if a guy's coming at me, as I dip and rip, I want to twist my shoulders towards the sideline as my eyes stay forward right there. Okay? So just like anything coming off, that there's soft shoulder right there for him to hit, not show chest. Okay? I like that one down the field just because it's about the time when I'm doing that I can stick my foot in the ground to do that. Okay? And in saying that, that's another thing that we use, the big principle with our path protection, is where we stick our foot in the ground to make our break. We call it stomp the bug. All right? The quarterbacks, we throw the quarterbacks every day. And the biggest thing is, when are they going to release the ball? All right? Because everybody knows what about the depth of the route is, but it can be adjusted by a yard or so depending on how you release it. Okay? And when you truly stomp the bug and stick that foot in the ground, the quarterback knows when you're going to make your break. And he can release it then, so the ball is in the air as you're coming out of your break. All right? And we talk that principle with our guys all the time. When I'll run that back 1,000 times saying you just rounded out your break. How does the quarterback ever know where to throw the ball? All right? So we talk about sticking that foot in the ground, stomp the ball in his turn. We use on it all the time. All right? To try to get the quarterback just a little thought, especially on corner routes and all that type of thing, of when to release the ball, so he's not like most quarterbacks. You don't want to have the guy throw the ball when he's open. Okay, the ball wants to be in the air before that. Okay, if he reads the coverage. Okay, scare the defender into making him defend what he is defending. Now, this is one we talk about all the time. Everybody on defense has an area they're defending, starting with the linebackers. All right. Which means to me is this: if coach is an inside will linebacker right here, okay, and I'm going to release off the line, all right, if I just run down the field, all right, it is easy for him to expand right at me and jam me, and I've got to use a better downfield release to get by, and he can widen me off my track, all right. If I attack at him for 2 to 3 steps, depending again on how much depth he has off that, and get him to freeze his feet, all right, then I can burst back vertical again. He will be slower to react to my downfield release, okay? Which is what we, again, try to call, what is the man defending? Okay, all right? If he's inside of me, he's defending the inside. He's defending me on a drag. Number one, he's going to react to me releasing down the field. So we want to attack at that guy and make the defender defend what he's defending. Same thing if we're getting man coverage. A lot of teams that cover one, all right, with a linebacker floating around the middle, we call it one mouse. Everybody's got a name for it. They'll play outside leverage man because they have help inside. They got a linebacker floating inside. They got a free safety in the middle of the field. All right. So if I come up and I got to run a corner route, okay, on a man who's got outside leverage man on me, the first thing I need to do is attack what he's defending. He's defending outside leverage. I want to attack that leverage to try to get him to move outside with me. Then I can break back vertical to the inside of him to take it up over the top, okay, on the route, okay? If I just try to run a corner route to outside leverage, all right, even if I try to run inside of him, he can come in and jam me right away, okay? Same thing with inside leverage, all right? We'll do the same thing. Now, how many steps can I take? When we do this, we don't want to run into the guy, okay? Obviously, you just defeated the purpose of it, so it depends on how far his depth is off, okay, of the man as we attack his leverage all the time, all right? And we work that almost every day. We work down your releases, not only with our hand clubs and our chops and all that, but attacking leverage, all right? So again, Pat Fleury said, there's things you say over and over and over again, and we're always saying over and over and over again, make the guy defend what he's defending, okay? If you can get him to do that, you need to move his feet, which gives you a chance to get free on a downfield release, okay, as you're doing, all right? And then the last thing is we have a 4 verticals thing that we call Chicago, all right? We're in the city of Chicago, all right? And in our meeting, when we talk about, we want to make every route that we run look like we're running 4 verticals, which is what my last 12 principle is, put a deep feeling into every route, all right? The more the defender can see that you think you're going down the field, the more cushion you get. Now, how do you do that? All right. Number one is to make sure you're running with your shoulders down. Okay. All right. I use the same term I used to use when I coached offensive linemen. Eyes below his eyes, shoulders below his shoulders. All right. Defensive backs get paid to see your shoulders come up in the air. When they see your shoulders come up in the air, they know you're going to stick your foot in the ground to make a break. And that allows them to react to you. All right? The more you can run your route, okay, with some forward lean and shoulders down by dropping your hips and come out of the route the same way, the more cushion you're going to get out of the defender, whether it's a backer, whether it's a safety, all right, or even as a wide receiver on a corner in there. Okay? And that's what, when we talk about putting deep feeling in it, that's the biggest thing. Is don't tell the guy and telegraph it that I'm coming out of my route. And it's something we watch every day. And obviously our 250-pound tight end has a harder time with that than our H-back does. Okay? Whereas a skinny butt wide receiver does often thing. But we all have to do it the same way. All right? So those are just some principles we talk about and some of the downfield release things we talk about all the time. Players, formations, plays. So last thing I'm going to do on this, and I'm going to put a little tape on here, but one thing we do at our place that I really like, and it's really, I've never been anywhere where we did this before. As an offensive coordinator, and any of you guys have ever been called plays, you know, you got certain players on your field, you know you got to get the ball to. But as the game starts, you start calling plays based on what the defense is giving you, leverages and all that kind of stuff. And you lose sight sometimes of things, of what's going on with a certain player who might be one of your best playmakers in the deal. So what we do every week, I do it with my H-back, our two best wideouts, the wide receiver coach does it with, the tailback, the running back coach does it with. We make up a list of plays. With my H-back, I'm going to give, depending on the week, 6 to 8 plays in the offense that get that guy the ball. He's one of our playmakers, okay? That he has the best chance to get the ball based on what they're playing and why we have it in the game plan. And then I give him that list. And he, on his call sheet, keeps a list. Number 9, Drake Dunsmore, okay? These are the top 7 plays, okay, to get him the ball. Number 11, Jeremy Ebert, our slot. These are the top 7 or 8 to get him the ball. So as we're going in the game plan then, all right, between me and the wide receiver coach upstairs, I'm nudging him and going, hey, we've run 2 series. My guy, who's caught 88 passes for, he ain't touched the ball yet. And he's going to go right to that thing, go, you're right, we got to throw something in here, okay, off of this, okay? And what that is depends on what we're seeing, if there's something we expected off the film, if we're getting something new. And I think as a coordinator, that helps him not have to, and not for me, or he'll say, the worst thing is somebody sitting beside you going, hey, how am I going to get your guy the ball? And you're thinking, we've already got, all right, listed of how we're going to get it to our top 4 to 5 playmakers on the deal, on the team, if we had it. Okay? Now, sometimes that's the case, and sometimes it's not. Maybe we're getting it to 3 of them, and we're not getting it to the other 2. The more we can get guys we can get it to, obviously, the more the defense has to cover, all right, and go against an RD. Okay? Like I said, that's what we try to do with that, with our formations, personnel groupings, but we want to be an offense that has a guy in the game, and that's my guy, who can be a wideout, mostly a slot, a tight end, because now the defense has called defenses where an edge could be tied down, and God knows that seems to drive them crazy. Any of you guys that watch defense anymore, they can't make a defensive call if they don't know the personnel grouping in the game, all right? And then moving in. One thing we've done every year, we get the offense and the defense together, and we do a clinic with each other. We come up with 10 questions to ask them, they come up with 10 to ask us. And it's amazing when you coach one side of the ball your whole life, that they'll ask you you'll ask a question of defense which you think actually causes them a lot of problems. They'll go, oh no, that's easy. But what you do with this is really hard. And that may be what you think is the simplest thing you do, because you coach on opposite sides of the ball. And talking to our defense, they say all the time to us, don't line a guy up inside and move him out wide. That's an easy adjustment. Line up out wide and bring him in, or from an empty and bring him in. Okay? We have to make checks to empty all the time. Now you bring a guy in, we have to recheck out of all that stuff. You're in the backfield, you just motion a guy out, we got rules that just move with that. We're not really even counting that as empty because you didn't line up an empty on that all the time. It's a lot easier for them to do it. Now, again, do I know exactly why? No, I don't. I just hear them on that all the time. So we normally bring my guy from the width position in, okay, all right? He might come from a 3x1 or 2x2 and move all over the place. So a wing on his side, or work across the ball, or work across the ball and move it back the other way so that they don't see him in motion and think he's always going to go in one direction as we go. Okay? Now, if you guys just give me a second here, I'm going to get out of this and get into a tape that I have here on the thing real quick. And it's got some drills on that we do a little bit every day with our thing, the guys that, my computer's almost as old as me, I think, so the last, it takes a little while sometimes. The last guy that had this was the old line coach, and I think he spilled beer in the packages in it every day. There's times that keys stick. I also spilled a box of Cracker Jacks in a week ago, so there's still some crunching going on in there. I was watching tape and things. Okay. One drill that we do pretty much every day, I'm going to leave this up there, it's done by Cliff, all right, is a line passing drill we do every day, okay, all right, and for the most part, we just start out as nice, easy throws, okay, but the biggest thing we're trying to do in this is, number one, is we want to see and catch the front of the ball with a nice pocket, and we want to tuck the ball towards the quarterback, okay, every time, all right. We're a team that does not change hands with the ball, with our receivers or our running backs. Now, I know we could go into a discussion on that with coaching that would last almost as long as coaching the wings on field goal extra point, okay, as to what that is. For whatever reason, we feel that that's where a lot of fumbles occur. So we tuck it towards the quarterback wherever we catch it, because most defenders are going to come opposite the ball, so if we get hit as we catch it and tuck it, they're not putting their helmet right on the ball, okay, the first time. And what we're trying to do in this drill is just emphasize the catch, okay? Now the wide receivers, all right, sometimes they think they're real cool and they don't do it. The other guys will tuck it away most of the time in here, as you can see, and we want to overemphasize, you can see the tight ends and the superbacks do it all the time, and the running backs. Now, this is just getting north, okay? We want to catch the ball, we want to drop our hips, and get north. All right, which is, again, it's a big principle of what we do. Possession team, catch the ball, get north. Try to get the first down as we go on it every time. And it's something we just do to warm up every day. We do it for every scrimmage. We do it so dang much. If we don't do it, we don't feel like we're ready, okay, every day. Pivot, okay, all right? What we try to work on here is just coming out. And you can see number 11 is pretty good as we're coming. If you're making a break, we have a bunch of different break routes where we run pivot routes. Is to come out and get our nose over our toes on this. Again, what are we doing? We're trying to sell a drag or sometimes something inside. We want to sell that drag and keep our hips down and our pad level low and get our nose over toes so that when we stick our foot in the ground, we haven't stuck our foot way out. All right, it's going to cause us to slip and come slower out of the pivot route. Okay. The biggest thing is to come out flat, okay? As you can see, this is something we coach, we watch this drill almost every day. It's not the fade, okay, down the field where you can get undercut coming out of those routes, all right? All right, you see this tight end I had last year, all right, was one of those kids, if you told him to do something, he did it exactly that way, all right, every time, coming out, okay, all right? And we talk about the quarterback, all right, putting the ball as close to the chin of the receiver as he can all the time. In fact, we always say big men like balls on their chin, all right? They get some laughing, but it makes, you know how those things are. It's what they remember, okay, all the time, is putting that ball up on their chin as many times as possible out of this deal, all right? Getting nose over toes and sticking that foot in the ground, okay, all right? So that we're not reaching out too far with our foot. And you can see some of the guys do it better than others. Unders, we throw a ton of unders, and so we start out almost every day. Our unders are 5 to 6 yards. We don't run them at full depth, but we break in so the quarterback can put the ball on our front number coming in. And then we want to catch it and get north, okay, immediately after that at the next time. And it's something we do so much that it becomes something we practice every day because it looks like an easy throw, but you know if that ball is just a little bit off, it gets tipped, and all tips are picks, okay, as we do it. And we do it, we have two drills going on at once. Our running backs and my guys' superbacks are going on one side, the two quarterbacks and the receivers are going on another side, okay, with things. Choice routes, okay? We work choice routes, inside choices and outside choices, all right? And we want to stick our foot in the ball. If we come to the outside, we come down to 45 degrees, as you see them doing here. 45 degrees down, catch the ball. And then we also have inside choices, I'm going to get to here in a second. We come up and come right down, and what we try to do there, as we talk about, is sticking our foot in the ground and coming back through the middle of the triangle. If you drew a triangle there, coming back through. Now, as we come back, we want our hands up high, and as the ball comes to us, all right, what we want to talk about when the ball comes to us, we call framing the ball. When the ball comes to us, I want to plant my feet and catch the ball, and then I'm going to drop, step, and get north. So if I come back down the inside of the stem, I want to drop, step, and go right back up the inside. Again, where am I keeping the ball? Away from the defender. All right? What that try to help you doing, you're coming on a choice route or something coming back to the ball. When the ball is at you, you come and frame it. It keeps you from running through the ball and carrying your momentum 3 more yards backwards, okay, as you do it, all right? Already you're coming back and losing a couple yards anyway. You don't want to lose 3 more yards, okay? So that's, when I say frame the ball, that's what we talk about. Scramble drill. I can say the first thing, that as a coordinator, I sucked at practicing scramble drill, all right? We might lead the Big Ten in scramble throws for touchdowns. We do it every day. As soon as we do that other drill, we do scramble drill, and we do it as a conditioning drill. We do it as a drill that is just a habit forming for all of us, all right? And we'll start on the 30 and go in, and we'll come back out, and we'll run 3 groups. And basically, one of the coaches just stands out in the middle, all right, and he will signal a play, because everything is done with signals, and he'll change up what play it is, all right? Quarterback will take the snap, and then he's going to scramble out to his good arm, or he's going to reverse out, all right, to his other arm, okay, all right? And what our basic rules to this, as you watch it, are this. Once the quarterback scrambles, whatever level you were at, depth, in your route, you were going to stay on that level, and you were going to run at that level across the field at the exact same level you're at, towards where the quarterback is scrambling. Unless you are outside the numbers. If you are shallow outside the numbers, you're going to break right up the bottom of the numbers. If you are deep down the field outside the numbers, you are going to come back and hug the sideline. And occasionally in this drill, we'll have 2 guys pass each other, okay, in there. So there's space for 2 as long as both of them have an aim point on doing this, okay? And we just run this every day where they're all running the route, and then he takes off and scrambles, and you see them all hit the same level, and he throws the one guy. Now, what are the other guys doing? Conditioning. Because at Northwestern, we never condition. We run 45 plays in a 24-minute team period, and we do stuff like this every day. And we run off the field 1,000 miles an hour, and it just becomes habit forming. And you can actually see it happen in the game. When the quarterback goes to scramble or puts the brakes on, they stay at the same level they were at, and the quarterback picks which one he's going to throw the ball. And then everybody takes off and runs the extra 15 yards in. And we do this every day. We're going to have a scrimmage. We do this before the scrimmage to get our juices flowing, okay, as we do it. And I think because we do it that much is because the reason we have been one of the top teams in scramble touchdowns in the Big Ten every year, all right, if you chart the things. Now, do we have a quarterback that scrambles? Well, yeah, we do. Okay, all right, but everybody is always on the same page and moving, and you can literally see this happen in the game film all the time because it's a drill we just do over and over and over again every day. And we signal different plays, so everybody's at different levels on the deal and sticks the brake on. Now, 47's a new guy, okay, all right? So he doesn't know to stay on the same level. So he's about 5 yards deeper than he should be, okay, on this, okay? He's my walk-on from Virginia. His high school did not have football, okay? All right, so he played club football in Virginia, which I don't know what that is, but he got into school on his own. He's out there, and I try not to put him in too much just because I'm afraid a lawyer will come and put me in jail if one of our defensive ends ever hits the poor kids. So, all right, so you get the gist of that, okay? All right, we work motion a little bit, some type of motion blocking every day with my guys. I think motion. People get caught up in the fact that if you're an inline blocker, you always step your foot to your target, all right? Short step, 35, 45 degrees, whatever it is. In motion, we want to come over and foot fire and try to hit our back foot into the ground so we can step with our front foot. So we practice that with motion guys inside every day. So you get the right step on the motion. And it's not live stuff, and I'm really just watching their feet. As Drake is doing right there, you can see as he comes down, his right foot is moving in the direction he's doing. If he crosses over, all right, he's going to lose a step and have a bad angle to get to where the person is, okay, in space. And everything else is blocking, which I'm not going to get into here on this deal. You know, cut blocking, we practice this every day. We try to come to balance on a cut and then accelerate through. We want to dip and rip and throw an uppercut. What do we have the bag there for? We'd like to have your feet hit the bag and trip you so that you run through the cut block, all right? And what we coach when we watch this drill is, are we launching and trying to become Superman, all right, fly through the air, which we know we can't do, all right? Or are we running through and our feet hit the bag and fall down? So the bag is not there. We can do this whenever we can do this without the bag. We just want to run through and not fall, but it's there to make sure that we run through and then our feet hit the bag on the deal, so we're just not diving on the ground, okay, that we do it. All right, and then, because I'm about to run a little bit out of time here, I want to get to our one play I have on the thing here. And we do pass protection every day, as you can see. All right, it's a one-on-one drill. We don't know who's coming. All right, the biggest thing is closing the distance and stepping up underneath on the thing. Okay, with my guys, the running backs, we all do it together, one-on-one against the linebackers in there. We also, now that we've started to double read our guards a little bit, we bring the guards down. And I get to coach them a little bit and yell at them and get my old offensive line stuff going. But one thing that I usually talk about in clinics that we do is we have a little read bubble that we do, and we do it into the boundary more than we do it to the field. All right? Now we do it to the field, but what we found, and we kind of found it by mistake, is most people when they do a read bubble, or a lot of people, they read the same side like a team's going to read on the zone read on the run. So that linebackers and stuff in there could be on gap exchange, moving in and out. Okay, all right? You don't get as much draw on them because they're on the back side of the play. So what we're going to do right here, we're going to take the back towards the linebacker. So on this particular play, we're reading their will linebacker right here. The back is going to come in and take the ball. Or not take the ball, depending on what the quarterback meshes. And then if he gets the ball, he's going to run an inside zone back to the left. And it's a counter inside zone. But the fact that he moves at this linebacker usually gets this linebacker to draw attention inside. And the quarterback is just looking at that linebacker, and you can see his eyes right here. All right, this receiver, now we have to be doing that squeeze against Syracuse, because Syracuse was a 4-press team. And when we squeeze, their corner would go off the ball. All right, if we face a team that's not a 4-press team, then we'll do it from regular alignment and get our receiver a little bit wider. All right, he's going to block, this guy's going to block the most dangerous of the two. We're going to read this guy. If this guy steps in, we're going to throw the bubble. Now, I think the best thing we do with this is into the boundary, all right, which number one is a shorter throw, gets the ball out quicker, is we backpedal on that bubble in the boundary. All right, we used to run them years ago. We try to do the same bubble we do in the field. If we run a field bubble, all right, then we drop, step, and lose ground and run a regular bubble. By backpedaling in here, it's a much easier throw for the quarterback. We're trying to get him to throw it up on the front number, okay, of this man right here, and it doesn't get him near as wide. So he has room to operate and run. And what we're trying to get on this is what you try to get on a run play. We want to get 4 yards. All right, we throw this thing out there, and we do it to my guy a lot because he's a little bit more physical, especially when a safety's going to be a free hitter on him at times. All right, is to come up there and dip his shoulder, all right, try to get 4 yards. It's hard to get 4 to 5 yards on a run play, all right, and we just flip it out there to him on. Now, when we do it, and you can see inside, we're running inside zone to the left right here. The only difference is, because we're reading him, the tackle's going to block the end. If we were just running zone read, the tackle would work to the linebacker or the end, depending on how wide the backer was, and we'd read the backside in, okay, off of that here. But when we have the action of the back go at him, even though it's counteraction left, zone counteraction left, we get a lot more draw and get the ball thrown to the outside, which is the easier than handing the ball off inside, okay, and we do it. Let me go back one here. All right, this is another one against Purdue. Now this one, we're a little bit more spread out because they're not a press team, okay, on the deal. And they play it pretty good. Their guy reacted a little bit and came running pretty hard. 24 is actually a nickel back they put in for this. But if we want to run towards the sideline just like most bubbles, and we're aiming for the sideline, trying to get 4 yards. Now, this is a good 4-3 team zone play. Not a very good man play. This is against Auburn in the Outback Bowl, and we usually, if we get a team that's mixing up man and zone on us, we'll hold the play and see what we got coverage-wise. We were trying to go real fast, and we didn't, and we got man-to-man. Now, if you look, okay, all right, on things in the game, okay, this was, if I remember the game, this was somewhere in the 60 play, we had run 60-some plays at them already, okay, in the game, all right, or I can't remember the exact number, okay, but it's man-to-man, so this play has no chance. This guy's got my guy man-to-man, okay, in the play, all right? Their two best tacklers right here, okay, are this middle linebacker and this safety. And if you watch as this play goes, because they see it's man-to-man, and we've run a lot of plays, they're a little tired now, all right? They've begun to get the jog as soon as they see this happen. And then when he breaks away, they're in no position to make the play, all right? Which is another part of going no huddle and going fast. And then this guy who can track my guy down with one leg instead of two that he has was so tired that he just fell off, okay, at the end of the play to make the thing. So a little play, sometimes the stupid call, all right, becomes a touchdown, okay, when you do it, okay, in your offense. And this is, we did this a lot. We do this against 4-3 teams really to try to cheat in a 2x2 set and play this guy to the sideline in the box and use the sideline as the extra 12th man out here. And again, we're doing the same thing here. The only thing now this time against them, because we were running a lot of stretch this way with motion, we ran it the opposite way, okay, and ran it away from it. Okay, because on that, when you do that, you get the ball out faster. So if we get a team that's playing a linebacker tighter, then we'll do it from this side, because we literally can read it real fast and get the ball out faster. And again, it's my kid's not fast, but he's enough to get open and down the field, okay, on it as he goes. All right, so it's just a little zone thing. We run into the boundary more in the field. We do a little bit to the field, but a lot of teams don't run double into the boundary, and that's again where you get, obviously the field, the linebacker's a lot wider. You get that guy tight in the box out there, and they're going to play over the top of the safety in their offense. So, what's that? Yeah, he just back, you know, from his stance on the thing, he just backpedals out until he sees that the ball is thrown. Now, we have used it against 50 teams, 30 teams, and he doesn't get the ball, but he keeps the will linebacker out of the dance on the inside zone. Okay, that guy that can fall in and fold in on the deal. So we'll run it sometimes in there just to hand the ball off on the thing, all right, usually with counter-action zone, so that it takes that will that you don't have anybody to block and a 4 wide receiver set on the dance, okay? He's just going to keep him out with the bubble release. Anybody got any question on it? Anybody else got a question on anything? Men? I know it's late. I thank you for having me here. All right, I appreciate you staying. If I had been you guys, I'd been in a bar or bed. But I thank you for